Train hammered against the cracked windshield of Jake Carter's rusted pickup truck, blurring the neon lights of the gas station. He sat behind the wheel, gripping it so tightly his knuckles whitened. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was asleep in the backseat, her tiny body curled beneath a threadbare blanket. She had whispered earlier, "Daddy, we're gonna be okay, right?" And he had lied, nodding with a smile he didn't feel. Jake was running on fumes literally and figuratively. His mechanic's shop had closed 6 months ago after his landlord doubled the rent. Since then, he'd been patching cars out of his driveway, scraping just enough together to keep Lily fed. Bills piled on his counter like bricks on his chest. Tonight, he wasn't even sure how he'd afford breakfast for her. That's when he heard it, the deep, ragged cough of an engine dying. He turned his head just in time to see a classic red Mustang sputtering into the gas station, steam curling from beneath the hood. The car was beautiful, but the woman who stepped out was even more striking. She was tall, poised, with sharp green eyes and a confidence that seemed almost a broken bar out of place in a rundown corner of town. But at that moment, her composure cracked into frustration as she kicked the tire. Jake's instincts kicked in, mechanic first, pride second. He stepped out of his truck and called, "Sounds like your radiator's had enough for tonight." The woman spun, wary at first. "And you know that how?" "Because I've been listening to cars complain for longer than I care to admit," Jake said with a tired grin. She hesitated, then sighed. "Fine. If you can fix it, I'd be grateful." Jake rolled up his sleeves, pulled out his battered toolbox, and got to work beneath the gas station lights. His hands moved with the muscle memory of a man who had spent his life healing machines. The woman watched quietly, arms crossed, her gaze softening as she noticed his little girl sleeping in the back of his truck. After an hour of greasy work and some creative improvising, the Mustang coughed back to life with a roar. Jake wiped his hands on his jeans, exhausted but proud. "She'll get you home, at least. But you'll want a proper repair soon." The woman smiled, really smiled for the first time. "You just saved me a tow and a whole lot of hassle. How much do I owe you?" Jake shook his head. "Don't worry about it. Just glad to help." She raised an eyebrow. "Everyone charges for their time." He shrugged, glancing back at Lily asleep in the truck. "Not tonight. Some things matter more than money." The woman studied him for a long moment, then extended her hand. "I'm Elena." "Jake," he said, shaking it. That could have been the end of it, but it wasn't. 2 days later, Jake heard a knock on his door. He opened it to find Elena standing there, not in jeans and a leather jacket like before, but in a tailored suit that screamed power and wealth. Behind her was the same Mustang, now gleaming as if it had just rolled off a showroom floor. "I owe you more than a thank you," she said, "and I don't like debts." Jake blinked, confused. "You really didn't owe me anything." She tilted her head. "Humor me." "Can I come in?" Inside his small, cluttered living room, Elena's eyes flicked over the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, the worn-out couch, and Lily's toys scattered on the floor. Jake felt his pride burn, but before he could explain, Lily padded into the room, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, who's that?" Elena knelt down, her expensive heels clicking against the floor. "Hi there, I'm Elena. Your dad fixed my car. He's a real hero." Lily grinned sleepily. "He's my hero every day." Jake's throat tightened. Elena stood and looked at him seriously. "You didn't ask for anything, but I can't ignore what I saw at that gas station." "You're a good man, Jake. The world needs more of that." He chuckled bitterly. "The world doesn't exactly pay the bills." Her eyes softened. "Maybe it could." Over the next few weeks, Elena kept showing up. At first, Jake thought it was just her being generous, dropping off groceries, paying him for odd repair jobs. But then she did something unexpected. She handed him a set of keys. "They're to a garage," she explained. "A real one. Space, tools, everything you need to get back on your feet." Jake froze. "I can't accept this." "Why not?" she asked. "Because he broken bar, because it's too much. I don't even know who you really are." That's when she finally told him. Elena Prescott, CEO of Prescott Motors, one of the largest auto corporations in the country, a name that made headlines, a name Jake had heard but never connected to the woman with grease on her hands at the gas station. Jake was floored. "You're broken bar, you're a billionaire," she smirked, guilty. "But that night, with my Mustang, I wasn't a CEO. I was just a woman stranded on the side of the road, and you treated me like a person, not a paycheck." He didn't know what to say. Elena leaned closer. "Don't see this as charity. See it as an investment. You have skill, heart, and grit. That's rarer than money." Together, they built something. Jake reopened his garage, this time with proper space, tools, and backing. Word spread quickly. Customers came not only for his talent but also for the kindness he was known for. Every night, Lily would sit on the counter, handing her dad wrenches while Elena, who had started stopping by more often than not, watched with quiet admiration. But it wasn't all smooth. Jake battled doubt. He wrestled with the fear that Elena's world was too big, too shiny, too far from his own. He worried about what people would say, a broke single dad falling for a billionaire businesswoman. There were fights, nights he pushed her away, convinced she deserved someone better. But Elena never gave up. One evening, after a particularly rough day, Jake sat alone in the garage, head in his hands. Elena walked in, silent at first. Then she set down a box of old photographs at her with her father, working on cars in their driveway. "This is where I started," she whispered. "Not boardrooms, not wealth, just this, grease, engines, and a dad who taught me to dream. You remind me of him. That's why I believe in you." Jake looked up, tears stinging his eyes. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe too. Months later, the garage had grown into a thriving business. Jake had employees, steady income, and most importantly, stability for Lily. At the grand reopening, he stood with Elena and his daughter by his side. As the ribbon was cut, Lily whispered, "Daddy, we're really okay now, right?" Jake lifted her into his arms, smiling through the emotion choking his voice. "Yeah, baby girl, we're more than okay." Elena slipped her hand into his, and he didn't let go. The lesson? Sometimes the smallest act of kindness, of fixing a car on a rainy night, can change the course of your entire life. Jake had nothing to give but his skill and his heart, and that was worth more than he ever imagined. And for Elena, a woman surrounded by wealth but starved of authenticity, it was a reminder that true riches come not from empires, but from the people who stand beside you when you have nothing. Because sometimes, helping someone in need doesn't just fix their problem, it repairs both of your broken roads, leading you to something far greater than either of you ever expected. Replace this text with yours.